quite simply, if there's people that are using your calculator already, they're probably aware of these themselves. But from my point of view, from the few years where I was sort of assisting the management team at Cheltenham Job Centre, we did actually have access to an old benefit calculator, and not sure if people are aware, but the Job Centre don't provide that anymore. So it's left to likes of external agencies and housing organisations to do so. What we have found over the years is you can sit down and explain things to people in terms of their benefit entitlement, but they might not fully grasp the numbers. Visuals certainly help. So from our point of view, having this mechanism here to be able to say to people, okay, you might not sort of understand the 2,700, for example. Again, this is a scenario that you guys have created for me, so I'm sure the figures will be certainly different for each household. But we're able to say, look, this is where you were, or this is where your situation is, and we're able to explain the breakdown of the entitlements, and the colour coding certainly helps because we're able to sort of relate to those. The importance of it is the simplicity of being a bar graph, where we can turn around and say to somebody, look, there's clearly a problem because what was coming in and what is changed is there's a significant drop. That gets people more willing to talk to us and be a little bit more open. From sort of, as I spoke to yourself about, Janet, from debts, from money, from health, from illegal money lending, from suicide, unfortunately, unless you ask a direct question, you're not usually going to get the answer. With a bar chart such as this one and some of the other visuals you've got on some of the other slides, it's easy to turn around to somebody and say, look, there's clearly a problem because the figures don't add up. Talk to me, let me try and help you. And this is what we use it for. We try and use it to identify whether there's a problem with money, whether there's money going out, whether they're actually fully sort of considered their budgets and aware properly of how much they're spending. We also know there's a lot of scams going on at the moment through the journals and through HMRC, etc., and loans, unfortunately. So people are turning to these and losing money from it, and people are embarrassed to turn around and say, yes, my credit card's this, or yes, my overdraft's this, or yes, I owe people money. So from the one you've gone to now, quite clearly, again, the priority for me and my team is not necessarily the figures as such, is the fact that, again, you can see that your costs are outstripping your income. Now, the one you've highlighted in light blue, sort of the £300, and we've sort of said debts there. We tend to find a lot of the time when referrals come to us, either from internal colleagues or externally, when we do a budget with somebody, first of all, we tend to have to turn around and say, well, why are you falling behind your rent? Because actually, this looks as if you can manage. And it's not until we actually start probing a little bit more, they start to trust us and start to realise actually we're there to help, that maybe that £300 is declared. It's then you can explore it. And it might simply be catalogues. It might be that they were working and they were managing, but things have got on top of them. Sometimes though, and this is what we're missing about the face-to-face, or as I say, I am because of the length of time sort of I've been doing the role, it's that looking somebody in the eye and their body language, and you say to them, where's the debt come from? And you question them a little bit more, and their body language change, or they start to shuffle in the seat a little bit. There's more to it. They might not tell you. They might not tell you at all. But the issue is if we can just put a little bit of reassurance their way, and even just sort of give them sort of a business card with the local debt support agencies, or even the local illegal money lending team, if we feel it's appropriate, at least it's being addressed. And again, thank you, moved on. So from this point of view, again, if we can sort of highlight to them that, hang on, look, if you owe a bank, if you owe a credit card, if you owe a catalogue, or if you owe somebody who apparently is your friend but is charging you double what you've borrowed from them and putting a bit of pressure on you, if we can get rid of that money through debt advice specialist or through the illegal money lending team, then your finances are going to be back in check and things are going to be more affordable. So it's very useful.
Yeah. Sorry, Grant, I was just going to bring out that it's the scenario functionality in the calculator that lets you show people, so this is what you're currently like, but this is what the situation could be if we did something about that, and you're seeing it back side by side. Really
absolutely. I mean, I'll give you a scenario, and there was a young lady who was clearly having a lot of difficulties with her finances, and no matter how much we sort of talked her through it, she just couldn't grasp it, unfortunately. She was getting support from other agencies for general family welfare, well-being and education, but she just couldn't grasp the fact that money didn't add up. We used this sort of tool to actually work out for her that she was buying sort of, I can't even think of the terminology we'd use for these things, but like Hello magazine and OK and all these sort of things on a daily basis, as well as a bottle of Coke from the shop every day. We used this to show her actually what her expenditure was simply on shopping. And we worked out that the spend on bottles of Coke and magazines was £1,475 a year. She was struggling a great deal, and as soon as we showed her on the bar graph the colour of just what was going out on bottles of Coke and magazines, she actually changed it, and we actually saw her change her shopping habits. And I actually bumped into her in one of the budget supermarkets with my wife one day, and I was so proud to actually see her in that supermarket doing, if you like, a big shop, because she'd actually grasped what was going on. So yeah, we find it very useful, but it's very useful as well to sometimes turn around to somebody and say, there's more to this here. When you feel ready, please talk to me, because I think I can help you.
Brilliant, brilliant. Changing the habits. And then on the self-serve side of the calculator, Grant, very quickly, just talk to us a little bit about how you're using this as an organisation.
So self-serve, but we actually, just before coronavirus, we were actually sat down as a team and said, you know what, we're not using this enough. When it does come through, it saves us a visit, it saves us going to see somebody who actually has capabilities. It's something we could use remotely. We need to do a bit more of it. And as if by magic, coronavirus comes along, and fortunately, as I said, we have been doing some promotion of it, and we have shared with our colleagues to try and identify those who are a little bit more capable. And we've seen a real surge in inquiries coming to us through the self-service. And it's been fantastic, because again, we can use it as a triage system. We can turn around and say, well, hang on a minute, I'm concerned if this person goes and claims universal credit, then they're going to lose their tax credits and probably be worse off in the long run. Or we can actually identify that there's people in the household that aren't claiming and should be. So it's something for the future that we definitely need to make sure we continue to push. It has really saved us some time, and it's been a real benefit to us. From an organisation point of view, obviously things are still a little unclear. I know that the team are working, well, the management teams, if you like, are working with the focus of the communities, our residents and our all colleagues in mind, which is, as I said, is really reassuring. But we want to try and get back to a level of normality as quickly as possible. My concern from the benefit and money advice side of things is when DWP, and particularly universal credit claims, will the easements and relaxations of rules change. As Ellie mentioned, the risks to people with maybe some of the lower skills or further away from the job market at the moment are going to be up against some severe competition for the fewer number of jobs. And without us being able to work face to face with our employment initiatives teams, etc., and not knowing what that's going to look like at the moment is a real concern. Again, touching on the financial side of things, we don't know at the moment to how bad people's finances are. Again, even until we're face to face with people and gathering this paperwork, it's very hard to sort of to understand that and also assist them. But if we look at it from a debt point of view, we will be proactively looking at the with the housing revenues officers, we'll be looking at the rent accounts that have maybe slipped or have increased, or new ones, and we're proactively contacting those to let them know that we exist, not just from our sort of income maximisation and general sort of support, but also we can share our colleagues, external colleagues, expertise, the debt advice agencies and the illegal money lending team, just to name those guys again. But from the illegal money lending team, which, as I said, it's a real concern of mine. Cheltenham, we don't know what the statistics are. We're not saying it's huge in Cheltenham, but we do know that there is some activity. But if we look at it from a legal money lending team, we intend to keep working with them. We have secured proceeds of crime money from them, from putting in a bid to say what we want to deliver and how we feel that's going to positively impact our communities and our residents. What I found was interesting is that they, when they were set up originally, I think it was initiative in 2004, and then nationally 2011. So we've been working with them since they sort of, pretty much since they took off. But before they actually took off, there hadn't been a prosecution for a loan shark for over 20 years. Now, they're estimating that 310,000 households are affected, and 75% of those being on benefits and 75% of those being in rented or social housing. So from my world, it's going to be very interesting. We already know our rent arrears are increasing. We know that there's relaxation on obviously evictions and possessions, which is clearly the right thing to be doing. But the real worry is at the moment is how we maintain and keep supporting people that are going to be affected as soon as I said the DWP restrictions are lifted. I think there's opportunities to keep working with our partners. We're doing incredibly well, as I said, and it's the togetherness. We're so proud of it. The community are really pulling together and signposting everywhere. That is going to be imperative moving forward. What the whole service looks like, I think, is still in early days of almost, do we need to reinvent? Do we need to change? Do we need to adjust? Would love to have more face-to-face. How that would look at the moment, still on the drawing table.